Your next that I'm going to bring to the stage is Mr. Rick George.
Yeah. How y'all doing?
Good.
I was told not to wear my hat because it hides up half my face, which is probably good. I want to comment on Laura's picture here. I think it's wonderful, but there's nothing poetic about being like hitting the floor when your ass is being shot at. You know, that's not warrior. That's just, you know, survival.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you don't take offense at that.
Not
Okay,
at all.
good.
Not at all.
But I know I stressed Hannah out. I did, because she goes, "You got your story down?" I go, "No." Because I don't, because it comes out different every time I tell it, you know. It's I grew up in a real uncomfortable situation. I had a father that was a violent alcoholic, and I was the second of 9 children, so I had to like get in between my mom and my dad and get my ass kicked all the time. And you know, I'm not telling you this to elicit any kind of sympathy or anything, because, I mean, there's a lot of people who have had it way worse than me. And I had this, like, religious faction in my family that convinced me by the time I was 7 or 8 that I was going straight to hell. I mean, like, okay, well, if that's the case, when I got to be 12 or 13, I go, well, I might as well get a front row seat. So I went balls to the wall. I did. You know, I got into every mischievous thing I could possibly conceive of. And I was always kind of a pacifist, you know, like my heroes were Martin Luther King and Gandhi, you know, and back in the 60s, that's pretty bizarre to have heroes like that, but I did. And so the draft was like a big thing, you know, I mean, I knew my ass was going to be drafted, whether I wanted it to or not, you know. And back then, you were basically cannon fodder. You know, you were just like someone sent out to, like, be shot at or killed, things like that. And so I had this big fear, so what did I do? I enlisted. How stupid is that? You know, I enlisted because I figured, okay, if I don't enlist, I'm going to get drafted. And if I get drafted, they're going to put my little butt in the infantry, and I'm going to be a tunnel rat. And a tunnel rat is this guy that they give a, like, 45 pistol to, and a gas mask and a hand grenade, and they go down in that hole. And that's what I was, you know, that was my choice. Okay, I can get drafted and be a tunnel rat, or I can enlist and at least get my choice of jobs. So that's what I did. So I became like this typist, a clerk, you know, but that didn't make any difference, you know. in Vietnam, there was no front line. You know, you could get your ass shot at sitting at a desk. And before I went to Vietnam, this is something Hannah wanted me to tell, is I was at Fort Ord, California, and this was in the late 60s, and we had these protesters marching on our post, and they put me on riot duty.
Oh, no.
And I had to go up to my company commander and say, hey, I can't do this. This is morally wrong for me. You know, I didn't enlist. God, I hate the fact that I enlisted. But I didn't enlist to march upon, you know, my fellow Americans. And somehow, my company commander had enough compassion to say, okay, I'll take you off riot duty. That's pretty unusual, you know, this little 18-year-old punk going, I'm not gonna do this. But anyway, I ended up in Vietnam, right? Okay, I had bullets go past my head, you know, so what? Lots of people have. But one thing that happened that was really kind of traumatic for me is I worked with these guys for like 8 months. And I worked right next to them. And we were up on the DMZ. And we were going to take a convoy back down to our regular base camp. And at the last minute, I asked to ride in a different vehicle, and which was good because they got ambushed and got caught in crossfire. And there wasn't a place on the Jeep to where you could put your hand that wasn't touching a bullet hole. And I was 2 minutes away from that. And the only reason being that I wasn't involved in that was the fact that this E8 hated my ass. he did. I was like the demise of the military as he saw it, you know, like he was like this old brown boot kind of guy. And he just hated me. And I hated him as well. And that's what saved my little ass, is that. And I think the big thing that I would like to talk about is what happened when I came back. You know, people couldn't separate the soldier from the war. And the most anti-war people I know are people who have been in one. And most people don't get that. You know, they don't understand. They don't understand what it's like to see piles of bodies and stuff. And I'm sorry. And then I was in this bar, and I was talking to a young lady who was beautiful, by the way, and it was looking like little Rick's going to get lucky. But then all of a sudden the topic of Vietnam came up. And I mentioned the fact that I had just come back from there. And I saw this metamorphosis take place, like this dramatic change in this person. And all of a sudden I went from Mr. Wonderful to Pond Scum, you know, and after that I just realized that I had to stuff it. I had to stuff this. You know, I couldn't talk about it to anyone anymore because it was unpopular. It was, they associated me with all the horrors of it. And that's my story.